And joining me now is Phillip Hasha. He is CEO of Redmont Construction Group and CEO of WorkPlay, a cafe and cocktail bar over in Kaka'ako. Good to see you, Phil.
Great to see you as well.
And I know a lot of your, fans or the people that go to WorkPlay are disappointed that they're not being able to go over there anymore. How's it going? How's the mood like for you and your customers and your clients?
I think it's very uncertain at the moment, right? I think we're all just trying to figure out, when this is going to end, right? We hear April 30th, but then we also hear it could go into May, could go into June. So it's just a lot of uncertainty at the moment. And I know a lot of our patrons are wanting to come back, and I know a lot of our employees are wanting to come back. And so it's just kind of living day by day at the moment, trying to figure out what's next.
Yeah, and like so many other business owners, they've had to furlough employees, lay off some. What personally did you have to do, make some tough decisions to get through this crisis?
Yeah, so what we did was we furloughed our employees. We've kept them on the payroll to at least cover all their benefits, at least through the end of April. And then we're just kind of waiting to see what we can do and where we're at, kind of looking into May and June. And we kept our managers on full time, but all of our kitchen staff and front of house staff, they're unfortunately been furloughed until further notice.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's why this federal relief, these loans that the SBA is rolling out, they're really catered for people like yourself. What is your sense of the process and how has it been for you?
It's been really challenging, right? I think, every day it seems like the process changes. A new form comes. I feel like I've spent all the last week just filling out forms, just trying to figure out the EIDL loans, figuring out the PPP loans. I get hit up by all the different banks. Which one am I going to work with? Because we bank with all the different banks. So it's just a matter of who do we want to go with. And then the thought was we were getting hit up by a lot of mainland banks and local banks. And the reality is nobody knows, right? Even as of this morning when we went live, or we were told to go live, and today would be the day we'd get all the information. Still, nobody knows. We have no idea when the funds will arrive. We have no idea if there's going to be more forms we got to fill out. We're just kind of still left in limbo as far as where we stand. And then I think the other challenge I'm still trying to face with is what's best for the employees, right? I mean, they're all currently collecting unemployment. And if you know the way the unemployment works, in some ways, they may be getting paid more money through the unemployment than even coming back to work full time. And even if they come back, then the challenge would be, well, what are they doing if we're not open? And so even though we put in for this PPP loan that's forgivable, if we don't have work for them, then what are we doing? And so it's just, there's so much uncertainty and so many questions left to be answered that it's really a challenging moment in time.
Mm-hmm. And that said, you did, submit all your paperwork
early.
early.
And we got it. Well, we don't know if we have it, but we submitted all the documentations that we were told to submit, and so now it's just kind of a waiting game to see what comes next.
Yeah, did they tell you or give you any indication of how soon you could get funds?
Nobody knows. Yeah, nobody knows. All they've said is we've collected your application. Thank you. We'll be putting it in. And it was like a 3-line email response I got back from my bank. So it wasn't very informative.
Well, you bring up a good point. There are a lot of banks. All of the terms are supposed to be equal across the board. So how did you end up choosing the particular institution you went with? Is it because of, this long relationship? Is it because of just some trust that you have in a particular banker?
I went with a banker that I currently have loans with. I felt like they have all my information. They know who we are as a company. They've got all of our documentation. So I felt like that might be the fastest route to go. Now the challenge for us is we do have these two different companies, and we actually use payroll processing or a PEO group, and we use two different ones, one for each. And so trying to deal with the two PEO groups, which they were still trying to figure out what is required as well. And then they're getting different information from each of those. So you're trying to match what everybody's saying and trying to find the truth somewhere in the middle. Even to where one of the PEO groups, I received information as late as this morning saying things have changed. So it's really hard to really understand at the moment. I think the only group out there that's actually issuing checks at the moment is Bank of America, um,
Mhm.
on the mainland. So a lot of these community banks, they just don't know.
Well, and
They
that
do know,
said,
they're not letting their clients know. Let me say that.
oh, yeah. Okay, that's not good either. But
Yeah.
that said, you are very proactive. You've done all this research. There are others in our community, entrepreneurs that may not
Yeah.
be as proactive as you are. So, what would be your advice to get through this and help them out? Mom and pop shops that just don't have this ability, perhaps, to
Well, we are a
manage
mom
all of
and pop
this.
shop. It was myself reading the SBA loan bill myself, which, and I'm no attorney or accountant, so that was not an easy thing to do.
Mm,
I think just trying to learn as much as you can, just trying to study up as much as you can. I think sometimes we hear something from one person and we take that as it's gospel, but I think I found that right now it's so much uncertainty that I think asking a lot of different people, trying to get as much information as you can, and then start filling out trying to connect the dots where you can. That's really all we can do. I mean, I'm part of
mhm.
a group of other business owners, and we've all been, looking to apply. I mean, right now, I don't know a single business that's saying, no, we haven't applied or we're not applying. Um, and so everybody's going after it and everybody's trying to do it. So it's just, I'm concerned, is there enough money there to help everybody?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because it's supposed to be first come, first serve, and the funds are spread out across the whole country. So, I mean, what happens there for businesses like yourself?
I don't know. Again, that's what gives me this level of uncertainty and concern. I mean, it's one of those things where for us, I mean, our company was literally shut down overnight when they came in, a WorkPlay. I mean, they basically said, we want you to close down. It wasn't a slow ramp down. It wasn't everything. I mean, and the challenge that we have being a restaurant is we have suppliers and guys that we buy all of our materials from, all of our food and everything else. And we've had all of our orders still coming in and all this other stuff, but now we have no revenue with which to pay for all these things. So it's not just our employees, but it's all of our providers and suppliers that we've got to now turn around and pay with no revenue. That was literally just shut off overnight, and that's really the things that keep me up at night. And I know that they're struggling as well too, because then they're not getting the cash to pay their employees and their materials, and it just kind of affects the whole market.
So many people suffering along with you too. I mean,
Yeah,
our economy is 96% small business owners like yourself.
yeah.
So, I guess just in this time, what would you say to others that are, alongside you, just trying to make it work during this crisis, all this uncertainty?
I think the challenge is we all just have to be patient. We all have to know that it's going to come. We're going to be able to take care of everybody, but it's just going to take time. It's just going to take time for the funds to be released, for us to be able to then turn around and pay everybody else, and to be able to keep things moving. It's just, unfortunately, it's a really difficult time for all parties involved, right? I get it. I mean, I'm kind of in the middle to where a lot of people owe me funds, like on my construction site, but they're kind of holding on to cash because they don't know what's going to happen either. And then I know a lot of people are asking me for funds, and it's a hard thing because you're like, well, I don't know where things are going to shake out. So it's just kind of like everybody's kind of stopped. It's like we're playing musical chairs and the game just stopped, and you're just kind of standing around looking and seeing where you stand.
Mhm.
And it's really a challenging time for everybody, and it's kind of scary. Yeah.
Mhm. I know you mentioned there was some confusion about whether some funds would, uh, you by applying for this, you couldn't get access to others. Did you get that question answered by any chance?
No, not yet. So I've still heard double information. I mean, my accountant said that they believe you could. So the question is, can you apply for the SBA PPP loan? Would you still be able to apply for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, right? Which is
Hmm.
the $2 million and above. So that program came out before the PPP program came out. So
Hmm.
I applied for that almost 2 weeks ago and never got a response from anybody, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and so I don't even know where that application's sitting or where it's going. This was what I applied on the SBA.gov website.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I have good news. The SBA lady said that you could.
so, okay, that's good. So what
That's what
I've
she said
heard
earlier.
recently,
Uh huh.
what I've heard recently is that now when you apply for that, then they'll at least grant you a $10,000. So even if you don't get approved for that loan, you can get a $10,000 grant. But we don't know. Again, I just feel like the challenging part is I've heard so many different things over the last 2 weeks that until things actually start happening, do you really believe it?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get your hopes up and think that you finally figure something out, and then another day happens and they change something else, right? Which is the challenge. And then I think the challenges are, I mean, even if you look at the PPP program, it's only supposed to be there to cover 8 weeks or 10 weeks of your salaries and payroll. Well, we were shut down March 11th for us. We're going all the way through April 30th. And some people are telling me that we may not even hit, Hawaii may not even hit the peak of the COVID-19 crisis till May 1st. So we may go beyond May of being shut down and we only get 10 weeks worth of payment. So we may be shut down 2 or 3 months before we even open back up. So it's just kind of a challenge at this point. And then on the construction side that we've had a lot of our projects are in some residential homes, which those all kind of shut down. And then a lot of other projects, they've delayed them until this process is over. So we're having to lay off a lot of our construction workers as well.
So are they not considered essential workers at this point?
So it's not that they are, but the problem is in doing some residential reconstruction work, people don't want you in your home, right? Right. So they're delaying those projects, right? And then some of the other projects, they're private jobs where the companies are now hurting financially. And so they're delaying the projects because they don't have the funds right now because they're holding on to the cash to make sure that they can weather the storm to pay their people and to pay their costs. So again, it's just kind of
the ripple effects of all of this.
Of all these things that you just wouldn't anticipate.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, Phil, hopefully you'll get some answers, and for all of our viewers as well, they're trying to navigate this. We saw the stall in the unemployment system. So as you said, patience, and that really is the key word nowadays.
I think that's all we can do at this time is just be patient and know that we're all going through it together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully at the end of the day, we can all come through it together. So.
Well, that's a good sentiment to end on. Phil Hasha, thank you so much. And hopefully it all works out in the end, where all of us are rooting for each other at this point.
Yes, exactly right. Thank you so much.